Well, let's talk more about this story. We can welcome to the show our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, Trump then once again threatening Iran with strong action. Nothing so far. How credible is this threat coming from the US president?
Well, look, as you mentioned, this is not the first time, and Donald Trump has repeatedly over the past 2 weeks threatened Iran. He started on January 2nd. That was when he said, if Iran shoots and violently kills protesters, the U.S. will come to their rescue. We are locked and loaded. He has repeated those threats over time. On Sunday, he said we might have to act before a potential meeting with Iranian officials. And yesterday's post on Truth Social, help is on its way, but so far nothing significant, at least besides that announcement of 25% tariffs on countries doing business with Iran. That's not exactly what strong action means. Clearly, Iran has been killing protesters, which is what Donald Trump had said would trigger a reaction from the United States. Are those empty threats? Well, when you look at the Iranians, they're not seeing this as empty threats. They are taking it extremely seriously. Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, reportedly has gone into hiding after showing up last week in Iran physically. Iran also warning its allies and other countries in the region that are hosting U.S. bases to be ready, because Iran said they would attack those U.S. bases in the region if the United States were to strike them. That includes, for example, the UAE, Turkey, or Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, very significant also, U.S. military personnel in the region is getting ready for something, because some U.S. military personnel were told to leave the Al Udeid base in Qatar, which is the biggest U.S. base in the Middle East for the United States, with about 10,000 troops. Why is that significant? Potentially because last year, remember, in June, when the U.S. was getting ready to strike Iran, about a week before that, you saw some personnel and families being moved off some of those U.S. bases in the region that were within reach of Iranian retaliation. So that could be a sign.
Absolutely. Well, look, you made reference there to these protests. We're hearing a number of chants coming from those protests, of course, anti-regime, but also pro-monarchy chants. We know that Steve Witkoff has been meeting with, or had a secret meeting, is what we're hearing, reports, with Reza Pahlavi. That's one of the names that we're hearing some Iranians chanting for. What are we to make of that? What should we make of that meeting between Witkoff and Pahlavi?
Well, look, it could be significant for two main reasons. The fact that Steve Witkoff, who is sort of Donald Trump's right-hand man when it comes to diplomatic issues, and the son of the Shah of Iran, who has been exiled in the United States, but is one of the figures of the Iranian opposition. It's important because, one, it's the first high-level meeting between the Trump administration and anyone in the Iranian opposition since the beginning of those protests in Iran more than 2 weeks ago now. The second reason why it's significant is that it might indicate a sort of shift in how the Trump administration sees Reza Pahlavi. Initially, the White House was not really seeing him as a significant player, but over the days as the protests went on, two things changed. One, those chants that you mentioned. You saw the U.S. administration starting to hear those chants and the name of Pahlavi being chanted on the streets of Iran. The second thing is that Pahlavi himself had a good strategy, which is that over the past 2 weeks, he has been making the rounds of U.S. TV shows, including Fox News, and we know that Donald Trump really reacts to what he sees on TV. Still, last week, Donald Trump had said, I've watched him. He's watching those shows, and he seems like a nice person, but I'm not sure it would be appropriate at this point to meet him, meaning me meeting him personally as a president. But it seems now that he is important enough to at least meet with someone high up in the administration. So that is clearly a shift. That said, the fact that this was a secret meeting that we were told ahead of time could show that there's still a little bit of uncertainty as to what Pahlavi represents, given that, yes, he is a figure of the opposition, but he's also a controversial figure within the Iranian broader opposition, and he doesn't really necessarily get the support of everyone who is out on the streets in Iran.
Absolutely. All right, Kethevane Gorjestani, for now, thanks very much indeed.